Hey everybody, welcome back. We have the next video in the series is Gillian preps for the Ben Weider Naturals. So we're going to cover how the prep is going, and then as usual we've got a topic du jour that we're going to dive into today. So this is like our 73rd attempt to get this video done today, but hopefully we'll get it run through all the way at this time. So Gillian, how is the prep going?
So I am 8 weeks out as of today, and I could say that things have intensified since our last video 2 weeks ago. In terms of challenges, it was kind of smooth sailing up until that point. In terms of, I would say, probably the difficulty level for me. And the last 2 weeks, things have definitely kind of started to intensify. So
Okay.
I am starting to feel it.
All right, so you're saying things are intensifying. Has the diet changed?
The diet has not. So I
Okay.
probably need to say that my perception is what has intensified. The plan has actually remained constant. The
Right.
diet has actually only changed one time since I started. So if you guys remember and have been following along, I started this prep at maintenance calories for roughly the first month
Right.
that I started planning for the show, and then we did a 10% deficit. So we cut my calories by 10%, coming from carbohydrate and from fat, keeping protein constant at 150 grams. So that's really been the only diet adjustment that has happened since the beginning. And I'm losing roughly a pound to a pound and a quarter a week since the start of the deficit.
Which,
So,
as we say almost every single time, that is per the
Yep.
plan.
That is per
that
the
is your
plan.
projected glide slope.
So far, the diet has not changed. The training frequency, intensity, volume has not changed, but it is more challenging as we get deeper into it. And as I am getting leaner, I am hungrier, even though I am eating just as many calories. So my lowest days are roughly 2250.
Right.
I am much hungrier.
So let's dive into that a little bit more. When you say things have intensified and you're feeling challenges, like give me some specific examples of how can you feel the impacts of this process intensifying?
So I'm getting hangry, for a lack of a better word. I'm a little bit shorter with my typical fuse that is, I don't know, miles and miles long, right? I'm the nicest person in the world.
She is the nicest person in the world.
It's probably a little bit shorter. I would say that more than anything else, I have fatigue in the afternoon hours.
About what time? What time does it really start kicking in?
After lunch, I start feeling sorry for myself because I'm not full from that meal, and it generally goes from about 1 to 4:30 or 5.
And then we have an afternoon snack right around that time.
And I come
so,
around
yeah.
after that. But I am finding overall that I am getting a little bit forgetful. I am
Okay.
definitely not as sharp. I'm hungry. Sleep is disturbed a little bit. And more than anything else, at least for me, one of the symptoms that I have always had at a time of a deficit going into a prep is that when I've been in a deficit for a long period of time, my anxiety ends up kind of climbing, and I get a little bit neurotic about things, and I am definitely experiencing some more anxiety.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that compound on each other. So she mentioned like she's having some problems, and I mean like not problems remembering things, but like if she goes to the store, she may not get everything that she wanted to get when she went to the store. Me, I'm a checklist guy. I write it all down. I get to cross it off, and if I grab something, I'll write it on the list just so I can cross it off. So that has been a manifestation of things. When she comes home and she realizes that she forgot something, she kind of goes into a little bit of a swirl, and the anxiety starts ramping up. So it sort of feeds on itself, which is a whole lot of fun to be in the house with. But one of the ways that I can tell that her anxiety is increasing is we're back in the gym for this video, but we're doing a lot more of our workouts from the house. We're not going to our local gym as much as we have in the past.
Yeah, so I'm finding that I am most comfortable in my surroundings, in my comfort zone, and you know that I'm 100% compliant with the plan. And
Yes.
for me, part of that is not putting myself in situations where I could either potentially make bad decisions or feel sorry for myself. So I just choose not to. There are lots of people that do a bodybuilding prep and continue to go out socially, to engage, possibly go to a restaurant, order something that they could make fit off the menu, or
Right.
bring something on their own. For me, like at a time like this, and I always end up doing it the same way, even if I start out otherwise, I am most comfortable at home in a controlled environment during
Right.
this time.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, if you follow her, and you should follow her on Instagram and Facebook, you will see that she's been putting out a lot of content. And it's just easier to film that content when you control the environment. And you're not accidentally getting somebody else in the video that may or may not want to be in it. So there are some benefits to it. But one of the ways that we keep Gillian from going full-on agoraphobic is we get out and we go for walks. And that helps, a couple of things. One, it helps her get some of her cardio minutes, because we walk at a pretty brisk clip, thanks to Hank.
Some running.
Yep, and we'll intersperse it with some running. But two, we'll go out and we'll walk and we'll talk, and it helps kind of bring the anxiety levels down.
Yep.
On a recent walk, one of the topics that we were discussing was longevity. So you have probably heard us talking about the fact Gillian's been working out, training pretty much for 45 years, and she's 47 years old. So the question that I think a lot of people have, I know I have, is how do you keep going? How do you stay motivated over time?
So I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think one of the things we talked about is that I truly love training. So many people love the benefit of training. So Scott is one of those people that knows training is good for him and loves the benefit of training, but
It's not the process.
but doesn't actually love training itself. So
I love the destination,
Yes.
not the journey.
So it has been somewhat easier for me because
Right.
I truly have always enjoyed the process, not just the result of the process.
Right.
But in terms of longevity, to me, that has changed over time. So how is it that I have been physically active, doing this for 45 years? And longevity to me is very closely tied to sustainability. Am I doing a sustainable program? So yes, I have had longevity in physical activity and being a highly trained athlete, but that has not always looked the same.
Right.
So I've gone in many different directions on my journey, and what it is, it's about finding what I love at that time.
Okay.
So I am often accused of having ADD when it comes to sports. I'm all over the place. She's a gymnast, she's a CrossFitter, she's a powerlifter, she's a weightlifter. Oh, now she's a bodybuilder.
And strongman.
and I've done some other things that even kind of don't fit with that over time. I have a pure joy for physical movement, for just kind of like exploring limits. I love activity. I love all kinds of activity, and that is what I'm committed. That is what I'm committed to, and how I get there over time changes. So I think for me, longevity being so related to sustainability is you cannot be, if you want to do something over a period of time, there's a little bit of staying away from the extremism,
Right.
which people are listening to this and being like, is she crazy? She's probably one of the most extreme athletes that I have ever seen.
Especially if you've worked out with her in person. Because, so she taught me the concept of going dark, where you push yourself to your limit and then you keep going. And I've only been able to do it like once or twice when you find that next level. She does it on any given Tuesday. And you can tell, and anybody who's seen this, you don't forget it. She gets the jelly legs, where her legs almost, shake uncontrollably after a really difficult set. And it's terrifying for anyone who's not experienced it before, who doesn't understand it. For Gillian, it's just, that's the mark of a good set.
But I don't operate at all times
No, you
redlining
don't.
like that.
You don't.
So what I'm saying is the longevity is equated to me to sustainability. Is what I am doing, is it going to hurt me? Am I being so extreme with it that I can't continue to do it? What are the costs of continuing to do it? So for example, I started out, my early entry into athletics was in gymnastics.
Right.
And I think that was an absolute great start, but I got to a point where I wasn't loving it anymore.
Right.
And I was fearful of it.
Yep.
And gymnastics is a sport that when you become afraid, and I could very much relate to certainly not her. Like, I'm not her, but I can relate to what Simone Biles
Right.
went through in the 2020 Tokyo Games.
Twisties.
When you become afraid, you're done.
Yeah.
You cannot override your DNA telling you you are not going to do this trick.
Right.
So I battled for many, many years before even quitting gymnastics because I felt like I should still be loving it, and I was afraid to speak up and say that I didn't anymore. And I didn't realize that I had options. So one of the biggest things to me in terms of longevity and sustainability is the ability to let go and to allow yourself to let go and maybe move on. I mean, at the time, my identity was so tied up in being a gymnast, and that's who I was, that I had such a hard time letting go of that and exploring that there were other avenues of athletics that I could
Right.
pursue. So part of it for me over the years is being able to evolve, being able to let go, being able to forgive myself, and also recognizing that I am not Gillian the gymnast, and
Right.
that is not, and that I am more than that. And I have gone down a fitness path where I do what I love at that time.
Right. And it's important to note when she says to let go, it doesn't mean let go of activity, it means
No.
let go of that activity. For me, it was marathon, triathlon, whatever. Gillian the gymnast. She's Gillian the athlete, Gillian the fitness subject matter expert. So
And it's okay to take a break from it for a little while, and even if you come back to it. And so often we keep trying at something. So for instance, CrossFit for me.
Right.
So we know that I started, CrossFit in 2008, 3 months before the CrossFit Games, and I came in third in the CrossFit Games after 3 months of CrossFitting
Right.
at the time. And during
not 3 months of working out, 3 months of
a
CrossFit
lifetime
workouts.
of working out
Right.
prior to that. And after that, I kept CrossFitting, and I actually went through a phase of a period of years that I got worse. And rather than being kind of open-minded at the time to exploring what is it that I'm neglecting in my fitness, I'm like, I gotta keep doing this thing, I gotta keep doing this thing. So I think for me, a lot of the longevity is just seeing the bigger picture. Again, being allowed to explore other things, and for that being okay. So
You wrote about that experience that you had with CrossFit, and the article actually had a lot of blowback on you
It did.
from CrossFit headquarters. I believe you got blacklisted.
yes,
So, but it wasn't that you were saying CrossFit made you worse. It was the way you were employing CrossFit
correct.
that made you worse.
So I titled that article A New Perspective, and it was written for Starting Strength. And I was not attacking CrossFit in that article. That article for me was about how my interpretation of CrossFit, and for me it became something very, very obsessive.
Right.
And something that I could not, for me, sustain over time.
And then from CrossFit, you shifted into, since then, a number of different things, bodybuilding, powerlifting, etc. So you were always training for something. You were always moving forward, but you were keeping it in the sustainable realm.
So I learned to respect my body and to go into the disciplines that pretty much allowed me to do that.
Right.
So there are certain things that I felt like, aging is a thing. We know that I got a comment earlier this week, somebody asking, why are you still doing this? Things are getting older. When is it time to back off?
Right.
So I'm not going to back off in the sense of I am not going to stop trying. I am not going to stop getting out there and reaching for the stars. But the approach to it does change with time. I cannot hammer on my body at 47 the way I could at 27.
Right.
I can't use bad form on an exercise at
Right.
47
Nor
the
should
way.
you.
Right. But at 20 years old, I probably could have pulled
Right.
a deadlift with a rounded back and probably been okay. And I don't do those things anymore. So some of the longevity really, really comes down to being patient, being respectful of myself,
Right.
recognizing that the benefit comes in the recovery, and learning that it's not just all about smashing yourself into the ground.
Right. Well, and so one of the things that we talked about on the walk was that what is extreme for Gillian let me try that one again. Take two. What is extreme for me may not be extreme for Gillian. And when I see her doing things that are crazy, when she's doing dips with 3, 4, 5 chains hanging from the chain belt. Or when I see her, knock out 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 pull-ups, I can't do that. To me, that is extreme. To her, it's hard, but it's not the same level of extremity as it would be if I
True.
tried it.
And so much of it is mindset. So I don't see boundaries. I don't see, some people think I'm crazy getting back out there.
What was the title of your leadership lecture at Norwich University? There's the, over there, over Gillian's head. Happy homecoming, Norwich, by the way.
Lessons from the girl who thought she could fly.
Yeah, you legitimately thought you could figure out how to fly.
And I'm still trying.
Yeah.
But when I say
at the time, she was a child, so we're all good here.
When I say I don't see boundaries, I don't compare myself and say, oh, what does this person look like? I want to look like this person. Or, so-and-so has squatted 350 pounds at my body weight, so I can do that. In my brain, there are no limits.
Right.
So when I go for something, a lot of people will ask, how do you do these crazy calisthenic things? How do you do these kind of reps? Just because someone told me such and such was hard, I dismiss it. I'm well, so what if that's what they said? It is, for me, I think in terms of, I believe what really, really makes me different, we talked a little bit about nature and nurture in the last episode, has nothing to do with any physiological differences. I truly believe that a lot of it, for me, is mental. And again, as I have aged, a lot of my training, because I cannot go hard in the gym all of the time, I do so much mental preparation and mental rehearsal. For instance, for this bodybuilding competition, yes, I do lots of posing. Everybody's been watching my little videos, but I will also rehearse that routine 10 or 20 times every day in my head. And when I set the push-up record, there's only so many push-ups that somebody is going to do, and there was an enormous amount of mental rehearsal that went into that.
There's also physical rehearsal that goes into it. I mean, she just doesn't come out here and bust out 30 pull-ups. There's movement prep, there's warm-up, there's cool downs, there's all of the things that you should be doing for that sustainable workout pattern over a long period of time. She gets her results, consistency over time. She's able to be consistent because she keeps things sustainable.
And I think the other thing with longevity is, for me, is always knowing your why. Why are you doing something? Sometimes we go down a path and we forget, and it's really about personalizing it. It shouldn't be, I'm doing this because my friend is doing this, or I should be doing this, or I need to be doing this. Why I train, it's it is ingrained in me. And your why may change over time.
Right.
My why, my motivations now, at 47 years old, and my reasons, if you ask me at 25, Gillian, why do you train so hard? I was not going to say to live a long, healthy, and happy life with my husband, adventuring and traveling, and, to be able to, still hike when I'm 90. That's not how I thought at 25 years old. But as I have grown and evolved, I have always had a why and understood the why for what I'm doing, and that why has been very, very personal.
Right. Yeah, and I think that keeps things, the evolution of the why is what helps me keep those goals realistic. It's what helps me avoid those extremes. We did a deadlift series that we posted in the past, and I talked about my goal was a really heavy deadlift and a heavier deadlift and a heavier deadlift. Now my goal is blood values. My goal is my blood pressure. My goal is being healthy, well into my 80s and 90s if I'm lucky enough to do that we could share that time together. So knowing the why and giving yourself the grace if you feel that why starting to shift a little bit, I think is very important. But you have to have something to shoot for, even if it's a big, hairy, audacious goal.
And I think really the bottom line with longevity in anything is really finding enjoyment and finding joy. And if something is not bringing that to you, there's something else that will.
Right.
And that really, if I think about, if I had to boil it down to the most important thing in this, what has been the key to your success all of this time, is I love it so much. And again, we've talked about it before. I have dealt with a tremendous amount of adversity
Yes.
that I will cover in more detail in subsequent videos and in my book.
Subtle drop right there.
But what has allowed me to get through that is I am just so passionate about this, and my love and passion for it is so much stronger than any hate that's out there.
Right. And I will tell you that I've heard this time and time again from Gillian's clients. You know, people are like, oh, what's it like working out with Gillian? It must be terrifying. And I joke around that it is terrifying. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't work out with her. She would destroy me. Well, she won't, because she knows this game pretty well. And you know that the best workout is the one that's going to keep somebody coming back for the next workout.
Training is not about destruction. We will wrap this up soon because I know I'm getting diet brain rambly, but I think a lot of times when people think of training, they're like, I want a really hard workout. It's going to drive me into the ground, and that is not how you get better. If I am training somebody, and it's a Tuesday, I want them to come back on Thursday looking forward to it. I don't want them to not get out of a chair for the next 3 days and be cursing me when they need to get up off the toilet.
Although it does make for really good Instagram fodder when people put those videos together. So please keep them going because I enjoy them. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
If there was, I forgot what it was.
There we go. But don't worry, we'll be worried about this for the rest of time. So, all right, we're at 21 and a half minutes, so just want to say thank you again to everybody for following us on this journey, for following Gillian as she works towards the Ben Weider Naturals. Please don't forget to like and share this video if you think it might, here we go. If you think it might help somebody, please share it with them and subscribe to the channel for any future content. Gillian, what was it that you remembered?
The nutrition lecture.
Oh, okay, please.
Or not just nutrition and training. So I am giving a lecture on Saturday, October 5th, locally in
Boneyard Barbell.
Boneyard Barbell.
It's me with the save.
In Pelletier. Is it Pelletier?
Pelletier.
Okay. So local to where we live. The topic of the lecture is results made simple. And it's going to be kind of simplifying an approach to nutrition and training. The lecture, I don't believe we're going to have the ability to live stream it.
Don't think so, but we will try to record it.
We will record it and we will post it on YouTube, but if anybody is local and would like to come out, information is on my social media, and just bring a chair that day.
Bring a chair, bring water, and I think they're going to be able to work out afterwards if they choose to do so. So thank you very much, Jeremy White, owner of Boneyard Barbell. So, as always, like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for putting up with us for 22 minutes and 50 seconds, and we will see you guys the next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.